We're sitting here before the All Sports Combine at Baylor with Kehri Jones. Keri, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello.
And we're super excited for this conversation. I guess we'll start at a high level. I don't want to spoil too much of your background in your intro, but maybe at a high level, your time kind of coming into Baylor, the sports you played at Baylor, and then were you able to take your talents, kind of transfer them post Baylor playing days?
Yeah, so I actually was recruited on a full scholarship to Baylor for track and field. I ran here for 5 years. I had 1 year where I was able to redshirt. My last season, I was trying to figure out what I'm going to do next, like most athletes, and I knew that I wasn't going to continue in track. And just so happened right before nationals, my last season. My strength and conditioning coach got an email from one of the Olympic bobsled drivers asking about athletes, and he thought that I would be a good fit for the sport. And that was kind of my first introduction to bobsled.
Amazing. And so what were the different, events that you ran in track, and then as you transferred and started exploring this new journey, what carried over really well? What, was a little bit more work for you to kind of catch up to where people were at?
So at Baylor, I was a sprinter. So I
Mm,
did the 60 and 200 indoor. I did the 1, the 2, and the relays outdoor. Um, and transferring over, it it really almost was pretty seamless, just based on my running style.
mm.
And so I'm a pretty powerful runner, a powerful athlete. And so whenever we started training, we just continued to train like I trained in track. We kind of lifted up the weights a little bit more, kind of put a little bit more weight on my back. But other than that, it ended up transferring pretty smoothly. I think the most difficult part is the technical part of the sport,
Sure, yeah.
which is mainly getting the sled off of the block, which
Mm.
is completely new for most people. But after then, it was running, so it really transferred pretty easily.
Yeah, and what was the experience like just exploring a new sport in general and something that touches the Olympics, touches the ability to represent your country? And how did you think about that again, going from track and field to something like bobsled? Was it still the same excitement and representation? Just what was that experience like?
I honestly was super nervous transitioning over because typically the girls that you see in bobsled don't look like me. I'm pretty
Mm,
short. I have a pretty small stature. And so I was pretty intimidated. I
mm,
didn't think that maybe I would be competitive just based on that. But also, just recently before I started, Lauren Williams
mm.
had just medaled at the Olympics, and I have a very similar body type to her. So that kind of gave me the
Sure.
little bit of motivation that I needed to think that I was going to do be pretty good. And
Yeah.
honestly, I once I made the team, it just became a reality that representing my country was a real possibility. And so quickly, because I made the World Cup team my rookie year, and
Wow.
I was on the World Cup team all the way up and through the games. And so it was really a mind blowing experience at how easily it transferred
Yeah.
over. And it was quite a few athletes there that bobsled wasn't their first sport. I don't think anybody there bobsled was their first sport. So
Yeah, that's something we say is nobody grew up
no,
bobsledding, you
not
know.
notoriously does anybody grow up bobsledding.
Unless maybe you lived in Lake Placid or in Salt Lake City
Yeah.
or those areas. So talk a little bit about what you felt like was kind of the pinnacle of your bobsled journey, and then let's talk a little bit about fast forwarding to now of how you're starting to think about what it might look like to have a resurgence or kind of a re-emerging career back into the sport.
So I would say the biggest highlight of my bobsled career was winning worlds. I I had broken a few start records before then, but the U.S. had only ever won one world championship,
Mm,
and that was a few years before I came.
mm,
And knowing the history of bobsled for women being at that point 30 years, and knowing that the US hadn't won but one world championship, um, was the highlight. So I was able to bring home the second ever world championship
amazing.
to the US, and I think that was a really big moment for the governing body and for me and my
Yeah.
driver.
No, amazing. And so now, talk a little bit about any decision or as, your career developed, life developed a little bit, walking away from bobsled, and then where are we at today? Where's our mindset at?
So I decided that maybe I would challenge my body. Now in bobsled and in sports in general,
Mhm.
moms are coming and moms are doing really big things in sports. And
Yeah.
so I felt like I wasn't finished. I am not finished yet. And I figured I would try and push my body and see what I could do.
hmm Yeah, and so how do you feel in terms of where you were at before coming into now? I know you're just starting to get into training, but does it still feel like, outside of the passion that you still have to get to the top, how are you going to think about as you kind of get more into it, where you're at from a physical standpoint?
It's it's definitely a completely different experience. It's completely different training. You have to listen to your body a little bit more. You have to make sure you rest. Before it was almost like go go go
Mhm.
100% every day, and not every day is going to be 100%. And so I had to kind of learn that for myself, that
Sure.
even if I'm coming in 50%, I'm going to give all 50% that I have, but also knowing that I have to take breaks. And so this time around, it's a little nerve wracking. I can't lie because
It's new again.
it's new again.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a new athlete. I have a new body. Like,
Mm.
I have new training techniques that I have to do now,
Yeah.
versus what I was doing before. So it is definitely a little nerve wracking, but I trust my coaches and I trust the process.
Amazing. So what would you say, what is next? What's the next goal? What's the next step for you in this journey?
So my next goal is to just go out to the ice house and see what I have,
Mhm.
as I continue to train through the summer, and just see where I land, on the scoreboards. And if I'm competitive, I'm gonna go out to push championships and try to see what I can do.
Push championships up next. It'll
Yeah,
be a journey. Well,
it
we're
will.
excited to follow along. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, amazing. Perfect. Well,